Such a glorious evening. Such a glorious evening. The Buffalo Bills won 31-10.
No.
Beat the hell out of the defending champ.
Hey, they didn't win. It's an old-fashioned mollywhopping.
An old-fashioned mollywhopper. You heard it from the future Hall of Famer Steve Smith.
A future Hall of Famer calls it an old-fashioned mollywhopping. My goodness. Well, it is that time for us to welcome in our weekly guest from NFL Network. It is NFL Network analyst Michael Robinson, resident Bills Mafia member at the network, and a lot to be happy about. It wasn't airtight perfect, but it was pretty darn dominant nonetheless by the Bills in Week 1 there against the defending Super Bowl champs. Huh, Mike?
Yeah, guys, very much dominant. I mean, I saw everything I needed to see. I saw this Bills team go through some adversity. I saw this Bills team respond to adversity. I saw this Bills team lead. I saw this Bills team have success. They averaged 4 yards in the rushing game. They ran for over 100 yards. And the 2022 MVP, yes, I'm going to continue to call it, Josh Allen, had a day. And, 26 for 31, 297 yards. He was sacked 2 times, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of the interceptions I'll give to Josh Allen. The other, I'll say the wide receiver kind of didn't hold on to the football. And again, that second interception was a little bit late. It was on Josh Allen. But what I needed to see was Josh take that next step. And I've seen him take it. And this is what I mean by this, guys. After a bad play, does Josh Allen line up and try to win the game with one big pass the very next play? That wasn't the Josh Allen that I saw last Thursday night. The Josh Allen that I saw last Thursday night took what the defense gave him. He made plays when he needed to make plays. He took sacks when he needed to take sacks. And I know all of our listeners out there saying, Mike, what are you talking about, needing to take sacks? Sometimes a sack is the lesser of the evils, okay? Would you like him to take a sack, or would you like him to try to force the ball and possibly have it turned over? So, again, just looking at what I've seen out of Josh Allen, this defense, I thought the defensive tackles played tremendously, whether it was Settle, Daquan Jones, Phillips. Everybody in the defensive tackle meeting room played their tails off and provided one-on-one opportunities for Von Miller and those pass rushers. I saw everything I needed to see out of this team. AFC, you are officially on notice. The Buffalo Bills are here.
Yeah, one of the things about it, this game was a little bit typical for Bills fans in that Josh kind of carried it. I mean, and even late in the game, we saw, and as long as he, and this is a big caveat, as long as Josh Allen stays healthy, he's a dominant player. Certainly late in the game, nobody wants to see him, running the quarterback option and keeping the ball and taking hits the way he did. But man, oh man, it's hard to call him. It's hard to call him out on that when he gets up and he's laughing and having fun and he's throwing guys off at the sidelines with stiff arms and all that stuff's going on. When the guy is on, he is really, really tough to beat. And that's kind of where this Bills team is now. And I'm not saying because of the weapons and because of the defense that it's all on Josh, like they go as Josh Allen goes. But man, oh man, it's hard to come up with a comparison for how well he's playing when he's on.
Man, I get sometimes killed at my network. Sometimes I get killed on social media for saying Josh Allen is QB1 in the National Football League. He has all the tools. I'm seeing him get more experience. I'm seeing him use that experiential knowledge to continue to read defenses, right? You talk about him taking those hits. Obviously, none of us like to see our MVP take those hits. But at the end of the day, what I've noticed with Josh Allen getting hit throughout last week on last Thursday night, he's getting hit a little bit differently, right? Especially in the pocket. He's letting his body go limp a little bit, kind of what Tom Brady does when he gets hit in the pocket. And then when you have a big, strong guy like Josh Allen, stiff-arming guys, to the ground like a running back, like a Derrick Henry, it gets your entire team, it gets your fan base, and even the defense fired up. So, yeah, Josh, when you're on, you cannot be stopped.
Yeah, that's why I called him an ass-kicking ninja this week, because that's what he was. Like he's like a ninja out there. Yeah. Let's take the offensive performance a step further here, Mike. Third down, they're 9 of 10. They scored 3 of their touchdowns on third down plays, including that great fake to Gabe Davis when they ran 22 personnel and had the Rams defense going all the way, flowing in one direction. The play went the other way. But 9 of 10 on third down, 3 of their touchdowns on third down, and 3 of their biggest plays in the game came on third down. The 26-yard touchdown to Davis, the 47-yarder to Davis down the middle on the deep post, and the 53-yard touchdown to Diggs. All of them came on third down. What does that say about what was going on third down in the game that led to those kinds of opportunities and success?
A couple of different things. Well, first and foremost, that's why Josh Allen is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the National Football League. Quarterbacks are paid to make plays on the money down, and that is third down. And to go 90%, that's almost uncalled. That's almost, you almost never see that in today's NFL with today's defenses and the way that they get after opposing offenses. So number one, at the end of the day, that's what Josh Allen does. That's what he's there for. Number two, I thought that the Rams defense, I thought they play some man on some of those third down opportunities. And so it provided some one-on-one opportunities on the outside. And Josh Allen, taking that next step in his development, stayed calm in the pocket. And you talked about that deep pass to Gabriel Davis down the middle of the field, that deep post. There's not a lot of human beings walking this planet that can do that. The touch, in past years, we've seen Josh Allen overthrow that pass by 20 yards just because he's such a big, strong football player. And he was getting blitzed at the time. He had a 5-man pressure going on during that play, and he stayed calm in the pocket as everything was caving in around him, and he made a beautiful pass. To me, that's the next step with Josh Allen that he's taken, and he's definitely taken the ball and ran with it. Beautiful plays on third down. I thought it was Josh Allen and play caller. Give me the play caller.
Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey. There you go. Josh Allen and Ken Dorsey making plays on third down. And I thought they were outperforming the Rams defense on third down. That's why you get a 90%.
Yeah, one last thing about third down, Mike. We found out after the game from Diggs that the 53-yard touchdown was drawn up in the dirt by Josh. He saw something from earlier in the game based on the personnel grouping that came out for the Rams pre-huddle, and basically just told Diggs, run down the field as far as you can. He also noticed that on that play, Aaron Donald was not on the field, and he felt he would have enough time to roll out and buy some time to just chuck it down the field. Drawn up in the dirt.
That's playing football at a 400 level. I mean, seriously, that's kind of similar to when you hear stories of Brett Favre. I played with Leon Washington, and he played with Brett Favre, and he used to always tell me, man, Brett Favre would tell me when a guy was blitzing, if that's my guy blitzing, sometimes don't even block him, just get out in the route, and I'll throw it to you, and we'll defeat the blitz that way. That's Josh and Steph having that chemistry. That's Josh having, all that experience underneath his belt right now, reading the defense, reading all of his nonverbal communication skills. Yeah, man, it was beautiful.
All right, so it's early, no question. We're starting to get to know these teams a little better than what we thought we did. What about the LA Rams? I mean, the Bills go into their house, they're raising the banner. There's a lot of hoopla going on. They're coming off a Super Bowl championship. They've got a good offense. Their defense is manned by some guys. But they don't play in the preseason. It was their first live action since the Super Bowl. I mean, we were ready to, and we were couching ourselves here because we knew the Bills were a good team, and so are the Rams. If the Bills lose this opening game, still a lot of time. They're still going to be a good football team. We tried not to overreact before we had a chance to overreact. Right? So now, the Rams are now. How much about the Rams in this game how much about this 21-point win is about the Rams and not the Bills?
Yeah, that's a really good question because what I was saying before the game, and I talked to some of the Rams players, also talked to some other guys in the National Football League, and everybody's thing was, are the Rams still hungry? Right. See, when you're not hungry anymore, or when you're full, you're not hungry anymore, right? And you look at how they played, you look at how I don't think they matched the intensity of the Buffalo Bills on last Thursday night, right? And so it makes you wonder, are they satisfied? They have their world championship. They are in Hollywood, banners coming down, all this. And I think that they thought the Bills would be scared. I think that they thought the Bills would come in and kind of be overwhelmed by the atmosphere. But again, I said it last week, and I'll repeat it again this week, guys. This Bills team reminds me so much of my 2013 Seattle Seahawks football team. Not in necessarily terms of the makeup of the team, but in terms of the attitude, in terms of how much the defense will hit you and stop you in the red zone. and in terms of having a quarterback that can be creative and a quarterback that can just make plays out of the dirt, to use your own words. So I like this team, man. I like this team. And at the end of the day, they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to bully a lot of teams. But when you talk about the Los Angeles Rams, nobody can tell me that Matthew Stafford's arm isn't a little bit messed up. Steve Smith said it on our post-game coverage that he had a little bit of a noodle arm, right? And it makes you wonder if that elbow injury is starting to rear its ugly head here early in the season for Matthew Stafford.
So, Mike, I know you already mentioned the defensive tackles in this game, but the defensive line as a whole, I mean, Stafford drops back 41 times in this game. He is sacked or hit on 22 of them. I mean, more than half the game, he's got somebody in his lap. Obviously, that has an effect on a quarterback, but as encouraging as the play of the defensive tackles were, you know, Jordan Phillips, Daquan Jones, Tim Settle, and Ed Oliver before he went out with the ankle injury, the young pass rushers, along with Vaughn. You know, you got A.J. Epinesa, a sack and a half, 4 quarterback hits. Rousseau had a sack and a couple of pressures. Boogie Basham tips a pass up in the air and intercepts it. I mean, those are their 3 draft picks over the last, 3 years that they've invested in. It looks like those guys, the chickens are coming home to roost now, Mike. What does that mean going forward for the pass rush, besides Miller?
Oh, man. It means you got a rock star of a general manager in Brandon Beane. I mean, to be able to draft the right people, develop the guys that you draft, to have those guys be influential in wins. I mean, I can't say enough about it. The way that these guys dominated the line of scrimmage. And you mentioned all of the pass rushing. You mentioned how they attacked Matthew Stafford. Let's not forget, these guys showed up in the run game as well. The Rams didn't have over 100 yards rushing. I think they had less than 4 yards per carry, but you saw Gregory Rousseau screaming down the line of scrimmage, making tackles. You saw Von Miller. Now, and I made this statement to some of the guys at NFL Network. Von Miller looks better in one game with the Buffalo Bills than I seen him look at any point with the Rams last year. And I thought he had a really good playoff run with the Rams as they went on to win the Super Bowl. So, not only did they rush the passer, they played the run well, too. And that's something that young defensive linemen, they don't always do well in the National Football League, is playing the run. These guys showed up and played the run pretty well.
And you look around the conference now, certainly the Bills, it's hard to say they're not clicking on all cylinders, both sides of the football. Even the fact that the Bills played a 6th-round rookie cornerback, started him, and then had him split reps with the 1st-round corner. You had who going into last year was a backup cornerback playing cornerback number 1 on the far side with the 2 rookies on the other side. Even so, the Bills doing a really nice job defensively because of the dominance up front, no question. But you got a lot of teams in the AFC. The Chiefs still look like they're the team to beat. The Chargers had a tremendous game against the Las Vegas Raiders on the road in that division. We're going to get a chance to see the Broncos tonight. The Ravens seem to be back in the saddle once their injury-riddled season of 21 is behind them in the rearview mirror. Lamar comes on, plays well in a win. Some of the other teams, the hierarchy of the AFC seems to be intact. Even the Bengals, although the Bengals absolutely gave the game away to go on to get off. Right, yeah, just give it to them one-on-one. So what has anything changed coming into this season about who the contenders are in the AFC?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, you look at the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, they played the Raiders. Justin Herbert, he's a rock star of a quarterback. They have a group of wide receivers. They got pass rushers. When J.C. Jackson is healthy and he comes back, they're going to have a secondary that can lock people down. So I think the Chargers are definitely an early contender. But at the end of the day, I feel like I say the same thing about the Chargers for the last 5 years. Oh, they're a contender. Look at all this talent that they have. And at the end of the day, they're fighting for a playoff spot week 16, week 17. So I still think judgment is still out there for the Los Angeles Chargers. But to me, I would say the biggest threat to the Bills atop the AFC right now is Kansas City. It has to be. When you lose a guy like Tyreek Hill, I thought it would have a tremendous, profound effect on this Kansas City Chiefs offense. And what it did was it forced Patrick Mahomes to go back to taking what the defense gives him, not necessarily throwing the ball deep every single play. That was one of the deals with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Andy Reid in this offense over the last couple of years. If you play two safeties high, right, and dare them to run the football, they won't run the football all game. They won't just take the underneath stuff. They're going to still try to push the ball downfield. Well, week one, I saw Patrick Mahomes just take what the defense gives him, and that's scary to me being a Buffalo Bills fan, to me being, a fan that wants the Bills to get through the AFC, just because if Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes can just take what the defense gives them all season, they're going to be there waiting for the Bills at the end of the year. I think they're going to be one of the teams still standing in the AFC. The only issue is, guys, and I'll tell you this, I don't believe Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy have the patience to run the football against two safety high all game. I don't believe they have the patience to just dip and dunk the ball all the way down the football field. That's why I think eventually the Bills are going to get them.
Last one I've got for you, Mike, concerns the recent movement in recent years to not play in the preseason. Any starters, that is, coach's decision. The Rams, the Packers, the Cardinals, the 49ers all subscribe to that model. All four of them laid an egg in week one. Do you think there is any movement back in the other direction to maybe play some guys even just a little bit in the preseason in light of how some of these week one performances went for the teams that haven't played their guys yet?
Yeah, I was one of those, when I played in the league, guys, I'm telling you a secret, I was one of those captains that whenever Pete Carroll or Mike Nolan or Mike Singletary at the time with the 49ers, when they would come to me and ask me about practice and should we take the pads off, should we allow the starters to play in preseason, I was always like, we need the reps, coach, let's go. And guys hated me for it, but it was always like my whole thinking was the only way you get better at playing football, especially live game reps type of football, is by playing live game reps type of football. Like, that's the only way to prepare for it. And people can sit here and say, oh, we do the we practice against another organization. We do all of this and scrimmages and this. It's not a game. It is not a game. That's why you can see the Los Angeles Rams go up against the Bengals in a scrimmage, and Aaron Donald's throwing a helmet. He couldn't do that in a real game because he'd be ejected and he'd lose money and all that. Those practices aren't real, and that's why you don't get your guys ready as much. To me, if I'm a head coach in the National Football League, all of my starters would get at least some play. And at the end of the day, if you're scared about getting hurt, if you're scared about your high-priced guys getting injured, then for real, are they really the guy that you want? If you're scared that them doing their job is going to get them hurt, why you sign them? You shouldn't have them anyway. That's just my personal belief. But yes, I think all guys should play at least a little bit in the preseason.
I just wonder if it'll change now. I wonder if some of these coaches will think differently. It'll be interesting to see going forward.
Last one for me, Mike. Biggest surprise of week one. What are because we had some
wonky games.
Funky game. What was the biggest surprise, either a player or what stands out to you about week one of the league this year?
I can't believe we got a damn tie. Okay, week
Right.
one. I thought we were going to have multiple ties, guys. Okay, Indianapolis against Houston. Now, I haven't watched that tape yet. They tied at 20. I thought Matt Ryan would be the guy. You know what I'm saying? I thought he would be the guy to take him over the top and all of this. Then all of a sudden, Frank Wright decides to do some crazy stuff on the goal line and all of that. So I can't really tell whether this is the Indianapolis Colts not playing well enough or the Houston Texans going to be better than what we thought. But I was definitely surprised by that score. But another player I was pleasantly surprised with, Saquon Barkley, Penn Stater, man. To see him go off like that, to see him have some breakout runs, to see him basically say, okay, team, jump on my big old wide back. Okay, I'm the most explosive player on this team, and I'm going to will you guys to a win. I still haven't seen Daniel Jones do that, but this past week, I finally saw Saquon Barkley do that, and it was definitely a pleasant surprise to see because I know this dude is a generational back. He just has to stay healthy.
What'd you think of Daboll's moves in the locker room after the game?
Oh, my goodness. Wow. This is a family. This is a family show. I'm not gonna say anything what I really would say in a locker room, but I will say this, Daboll. Let's leave the dancing to the players, okay? Let's just leave the dancing to the players. You just need to keep coaching, man.
Yeah.
He looked like he was having fun, though.
He was having fun.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. I was happy for him. All right, listen, thanks, Mike.
Thanks,
Rob.
Mike.
We'll catch up with you next week. Safe travels, all right?